Good morning! So Joshua is here visiting.
Hello.
And we're gonna walk out here so he can meet Miss Sophie. He hasn't met her yet. He got in last night. So we're gonna grab a couple treats out of the barn.
I have something for you. Please don't eat my hand.
She likes to have her cheeks scratched and under her jaw. Hi, Sophie. Hi, baby.
I scared her when they came out there. She jumped.
What?
At least she knows who it was. She was like,
She's like, nah. Not that. It's like too early. Too early this morning.
Yeah. Hi, baby.
What?
Hi, baby. So we have a batch of venison jerky in the dehydrator. Joshua was here visiting over the weekend and they got it started yesterday and they were going to dehydrate it and all that, and then Josh was going to have some jerky to take with him, but his visit got cut short. But yeah, snowstorms and all of that hitting this area meant he needed to get home before he got stuck here in Alabama. So Mr. Smith is going through the dehydrators looking for the smaller pieces that are already dry, and once this batch is all finished, we'll put together a little package and just send it off in the mail so that Josh will get some deer jerky. There's the little bit of deer jerky so far. So it is a miserable, rainy, cold, and awful day. So I'm in here working in the kitchen, but not on food, on future food. I'm working on my seeds. So I have got my first seed tray prepared, and if you are new here and you haven't seen how I start my seeds, I use a seed blocking tool. I don't buy the pods or anything like that, and it is this handy little thing right here. And I do have a video where I show the process on how I use this. It's fantastic. You use the tool and the soil and trays, and that's it. There's no disposable things that I need to purchase. These black trays, I use them over and over again, and it works great. So seed starting soil mix and my tool, and water and trace, and that's all I need to get my seeds started, other than my setup with my grow lights and all that good stuff. But I will put a link down below where I show how to mix up your own seed starting soil mixture, as well as how I use that tool. So my first tray that I'm getting going on here is tomatoes. So the varieties that I decided to grow this year, some of them are repeats, a couple of them are new. The first one is the Berkeley tie-dye pink. I grew these last year and they grew prolifically. I loved the color. They were just gorgeous tomatoes. So I'm going to grow a few of those. I'm going to grow some saladette ones, which are a little bit bigger than a cherry tomato. These are for Mr. Smith to snack on, and I'm growing the black vernisage tomatoes. They're also kind of stripy, sort of like the tie-dye ones. Then I'm bringing back one that I didn't grow last year, but I did grow the year before, and that was the Blue Beauties. And this is a Wild Boar Farms variety. A beautiful, deep, deep purpley blue tomato. Of course, I am going to be growing more Dr. Weish or Dr. Witches, however you want to say it. I actually looked up how to pronounce that name, and there was multiple answers, so I don't think it's one or the other. It just maybe is preference. Dr. Weish just seems better to me, so that's what I go by. Hi, Miss Ava. So Dr. Weish, this is that one I'm going to grow every single year. They are a tomato that have a very mild, not acidic and get you in the back of the jaw kind of flavor. They're a very meaty slicer tomato, and they grow so well. And I have had gigantic ones of these, and so this is one of my must grows every year. Now, Amish paste. I have tried growing these before. I haven't had a great success with them. However, I've only grown them in my in-ground garden beds, which, going back, those of you who are new here, our homestead is on land that used to be farmland. It was just depleted, dead soil, and we've been gradually, slowly building the soil and bringing back life to it. And so each year the in-ground gardens have been a little bit better than they were the year before, but my raised beds are always amazing, just from the get-go. So this year I am going to grow some Amish paste in my raised bed rather than just putting them in the in-ground beds. And then in addition to the Amish paste, I am also going to grow these Hungarian heart tomatoes, which are another paste variety. And you know, these are mainly for canning. They're for like doing sauces and all of that stuff. The other tomatoes, you can of course can them, but you're not going to have as much tomato because you're going to have more of that gooey, seedy part, whereas these are more about the meatiness and ideal for canning. So I'm going to do 2 varieties of paste. We'll see how they do. Alright, so these ones are new ones for me, and I mentioned them in my little seed haul video that I did the other day. The Bella Rosa tomatoes. Jason over at Cog Hill Farm, who's here in Alabama, just a little bit further south than me, absolutely loves these tomatoes. They're his favorite. He grows them all the time, and so I thought I would give these a try and see how they do, since I'm also in Alabama and it's hot and humid here. I think he has a little bit more humidity than I do, however, because he is further south, a couple of hours, but it's still Alabama, hot and humid summers. Now this last variety is also supposed to be really good for hot climates, and that is the Florida 91 tomato. Now, from what I read, I believe this is actually a hybrid, which means these plants will grow great, but if I save the seeds from them, the tomatoes may not be the same, and I explained that in my other seed haul kind of video. So these are the tomato varieties I'm going to do this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. So I'm going to get started planting. Alright, so I got my tomato seeds planted with Ava's help, and unfortunately I need to get more soil. It's out in the barn, and if you can hear that sound out there, it is pouring. And you know, I was just thinking the other day, man, it hasn't been too terribly wet. It's wonderful. We're going to be able to dry out quickly and get the garden planted on time this year. Yeah, I didn't say it out loud, but I thought it too soon. This weather system we have now, this winter cold, and it is cold, it's making up for it. Now, last week I was able to get out here when we had that insanely warm weather. I was able to get out here and get some work done in the front garden. Got a lot of cleaning up done. I didn't get it mowed, which I wish I would have. But one of the biggies was I did rip out those 2 old raised beds, those original beds that were just disintegrating. Got them out and got a new one in to replace those, which you can see right over there. I used to have 2 beds going like this, and now I have one going that way instead. And it's 12 feet long and 4 feet wide. Well, actually it's slightly wider than 4 feet and slightly wider or longer than 12 feet. The boards are 4 feet and 12 feet, but the blocks that are used to create the corners add just a couple inches to it. So approximately 4 feet by 12 feet. And that is one of those super easy raised beds. It takes just a few minutes to put together. I did a video with Mr. Smith last year and showed how to make one of those. Super easy, and I will put a link down below for that video if you are interested in seeing how that's done. Now, I wanted to make that bed there one of the metal-sided raised beds, and I pulled out the metal that I had, and unfortunately I didn't have enough on hand to make it the size that I wanted to. I am going to add another one of those metal raised beds, but I think I'm just going to add a smaller one over in an area where I've got a little bit of space. So I am going to, when I build that one, I will film that and share the technique that I used to make the metal, the tall raised beds, which I love. They are my favorite raised beds, to be quite honest. While the block cornered ones are super easy, The metal sides are still my favorite. I like the look, I like the height, and yeah. But I don't like all this rain. We have got that pond you see over there is my driveway. Yep. We've got water everywhere. That boat might come in handy. Just keeps up. Awful. Alright, so I got my tomatoes started, and I started a few herbs, some basils and things like that. I'm not going to start anything else yet. The peppers I definitely don't want to start yet because peppers do not like cold weather. So giving them a little bit more time works out for the better, because then they won't be going in until it's nice and warm outside. So that is it for today as far as the planting goes. I've been going through my garden journal, looking at my charts of what I've grown in the past. Realized I never drew out my diagram for last year's garden as far as what I planted where. And so I actually sat down and watched a couple of my old garden tours from last year and made notes on my diagram of my garden of what I planted in all the different spots, because some places there were perennials, things that would come back from seeds, things that would come back from the root balls, and so I want to make sure I know where everything is so that I don't plant things in the wrong spot. And I of course want to rotate things as well. For instance, I have a raised bed where I've grown tomatoes 2 years in a row. I don't want to grow tomatoes in the same spots more than that. I want to rotate things around, so making sure I have an up-to-date diagram of my garden is helpful in that matter. I mean, some things you can plant over and over again, but I'm going to try and do my best to rotate things around as much as I can. Yeah, one of the things I'm definitely going to be moving this year is the zucchini. Because the zucchini last year I actually had squash vine borers for the very first time, so I am definitely not going to be planting zucchini in that area again. I will move it this year to another location. I might even bring it out to the front gardens instead of the big garden that is out past the barn. So just trying to think out the plan of where things are going to go this year, and try not to be too willy-nilly when it comes time to plant. But as of right now, you can probably tell it's starting to get darker. Mr. Smith and I are going to go out and do the afternoon chores, make sure everybody's topped off with lots of straw and hay and unfrozen water, because it is brutally cold out there. It has been just pouring all day long. This morning when we got up, everything was covered in ice. It's been pouring all day. It just stops here and there for a little bit, and it is bitter cold right now. It is supposed to get down into the teens tonight. I think most of northern Alabama is going to be closed down tomorrow. Mr. Smith just got an alert on his phone that Redstone Arsenal is going to be closed tomorrow. So I think, yeah, I think we're going to be hunkering down here on the homestead and trying to stay warm and trying to keep everybody else warm. So that is what we are going to do. I'm getting excited for sharing garden plans with all of you, and yes, so supper tonight is going to be my creamy tomato and chicken soup. It's an easy slow cooker recipe. It's been going in the slow cooker all day. So that will be waiting for us when we get done doing all of the chores outside there in the cold. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me here in the homestead. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.